All right, howdy everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello, how's it going? Welcome back, and thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another one, another live one, as a matter of fact. New West Reset live episode 143 here today, Sunday, November the 2nd, 2025, just a wee bit past 5 p.m. local time. That's mountain time, don't you know? Because as always, we're coming at you from the foothills of the Canadian Rockies, southwestern Alberta, right here in Calgary, Purdy, Alberta. It's up in Canada land there, eh, buddy? So welcome. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for winding down your weekend here. Hello to everybody on HooTubes and on the Bumble. Good to see all of you. Hope you're doing well. Not too bad today. I went to plus 10 Celsius, which isn't the best, but normally we have snow this time of year and it's colder than that. So plus 10 Celsius is roughly 52-ish, 53 Fahrenheit. A little bit windy, so it feels cooler than that. We had rain actually yesterday, a couple of showers, one in the late afternoon and one in the evening. Could have been snow. It could have so easily been snow. We're gonna have some rain coming up here in the next couple of days. Again, at this time of year, if it ain't snow, it's fine by me. That'll come soon enough. See what I'm saying? So thanks for joining me here for the show, episode 143. We're going to be looking at the legend of Sleepy Hollow for this evening's eerie show. Going to have a closer look at the legend of Sleepy Hollow. We're going to have a peek at an old animated film about the Headless Horseman, basically, 1934. And we're going to go ahead on the goggle machine and we're going to drop the little blue guy down and we're going to look at Sleepy Hollow itself on the Google Maps and the goggle machine. That should be pretty cool. Cool. So thank you very much for being here. If you haven't already, maybe consider giving a guy one of these just to help push me out into the algorithm. Thanks to everybody who's already subscribed and shared. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate all of you as well. Let's say howdy to everybody in the box on this lovely Sunday fun day. Woo! It's my favorite day of the week there, eh, bud? Get to spend it with all of you fine folks. So again, thanks for being here. Let me know how you're doing in the chat, in the box. And again, links below for everything we're going to cover here for the show, as well as how you can get a hold of a guy, email, BitChute, whatnot. And of course, Rumble, broadcasting simultaneously live on the Bumble and on the HooTubes. Kathy Broughton in the box, fresh back from her trip to Cincinnati, Ohio. Good to see you, Kathy. How you doing? Channel Fitty Tree is here. Hello. How's she going there, eh, bud? Vibes in the box. Good to see you. Baja's here as well. There's Cousin Vinny over here, because you know how it works. You come to the show, you're going to get some Frankie Fingers over here, and you're going to get some Cousin Vinny too, huh? So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing. No. What? No. What I said about Frankie Fingers. That Frankie Fingers a New West Reset of the sand. Wait, what? Good to see you, bud. Hello. KJ in the box. How you doing? Ross is here. Water the tree. You just put up a couple of spooky videos as of late. Ooh, spooky. I love it. I love it. Please go to Water the Trees channel. Give them some support. Doing some good stuff down there in Kansas City, Missouri. So thanks for being here, everyone. Old World Mi'kmaq in the box. Quay Neetap. Good to see you. Hope the weather is faring well out your way there, bud. Foxy in the boxy. Hello. How you doing? Good to see all of you here. So, as mentioned, it's classic. That's probably my favorite movie of all time. It's Goodfellas. If it may jump around and take the number 2 spot or something maybe once in a while, but overall, I've seen that thing like so many times. I love it. So as mentioned, links below for everything we're going to cover. Now, this is all because last week, a week ago Sunday here, last week's live show was the Halloween show. And originally I couldn't decide what topic. I kind of had 2 of them. So I decided, well, I'll do what I did last week. And for today's show, why not do the Sleepy Hollow? It's Halloween-ish related because it's a spooky story. But I think in the original story, it doesn't really take place on Halloween, as far as I can recall. But, it doesn't matter. I just couldn't make up my mind, eh? So I figured, okay, I'll just, Buddy's going to do them both for you. So again, links below for everything we're going to cover. We'll take a mid-show break as per usual. If you're new to the channel, or as a reminder, every Wednesday I upload vintage footage video, old-timey footage that I edit with some music. I put it up Wednesday. I give you a sneak peek of it here on the live show, on the Sunday show. And of course, every Friday you get some boots on the ground in and around Calgary, here in Purdy, Alberta, up in Canada land. So we'll look at the Wikipedia, of course, because that's always good for shits and giggles. And, I
don't believe you.
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to, the Wikipedia. It's always a good time. We'll have a look at the official story, the official narrative on the legend of Sleepy Hollow, so on and so forth. Do the mid-show break, and then we'll come back. We'll do the Google drop on the goggle machine. Stephanie's here, but Babylon Fox in the box. Hello. So yeah, I just couldn't make up my mind, eh? So I figured, why not? Let's run with it. Next Sunday's show will be Clues in the Blues, episode number 3. We're going to be talking about Natchez, Mississippi. And maybe we'll look a little bit at Skip James, Nehemiah Skip James as well. All right, so let's quit messing around here. As mentioned, links below in the description for everything. Let's see what the Wikipedia says here, just on the legend of Sleepy Hollow itself. And we can kind of mess around and see what else is what. Of course, the Wikipedia, like I said, always good for... It's just, it gets to the point now where it's more entertainment than education, which is sad, but, it is what it is, I guess. So the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Legend of Sleepy Hollow is an 1820 short story by American author Washington Irving. This guy was an American short story writer, essayist, biographer, historian, and diplomat in the early 19th century. He wrote the short stories Rip Van Winkle, in 1819, and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow way back in 1820. He did Rip Van Winkle too, eh? So contained in his collection of 34 essays and short stories titled, The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon, Gent, commonly referred to as the Sketchbook. It's a collection of 34 essays and short stories written by Washington Irving. He wrote the story while living in Birmingham, England. So what would possess him to be inspired living in Birmingham? Look at that, by the way. Ooh wee! That is a lovely structure right there. If I may just go off track here for a moment or two.
Ooh la 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 la.
Anyways, what would inspire him while he's living in Birmingham to write about Sleepy Hollow, which is in New York State, over in the good old US of A, of course? So along with Irving's companion piece, Rip Van Winkle, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is among the earliest examples of American fiction with enduring popularity, especially during Halloween, because of a character known as the Headless Horseman, believed to be a Hessian soldier who's decapitated by a cannonball in some skirmish. Hessians, of course, are German conscripts that fought in the American Revolutionary War, so we're told. Yeah, likely story. It's been adapted for screen. Whoa, settle down now, bud. It has been adapted for the screen several times, including a 1922 silent film and a 1949 Walt Disney animation as one of two segments in the package film The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Now, it would always come on television when I was a kid in the 1970s, so this one I'm very familiar with, the 1949 version. I didn't know there was a 1922 silent film version. And of course, as mentioned at the top of the show, there's a version from the 1930s as well, which is public domain, so we're going to watch it. Oh, that's right, we're going to watch it. Water the tree. It says we have a Sleepy Hollow street. Not very creepy. Maybe the name itself, though, I don't know. Sleepy Hollow. Ooh, maybe it sounds spooky, or maybe it's just spooky by association. I don't know. Just seems spooky to me. It emotes thoughts of spookiness, but again, this is probably the culprit here. Back, the Ichabod Crane. It was back when Disney was, I should say Walt Disney films and animated films and so on were still pretty good. Not like today where it's just, it's pretty much garbage, if you ask me. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's see what else this thing says. Right-minded in the box. Hello, good to see you. How you doing? So the story said in 1790. So he wrote it in 1820, but he said it in 1790. So 30 years. I wonder why. Anyway, what's the significance of this number for this guy? In the countryside near the former Dutch settlement of Tarrytown, in a secluded glen known as Sleepy Hollow, it relates the tale of Ichabod Crane, a lean, lanky, superstitious schoolmaster from Connecticut. Ichabod intends to woo Katrina Van Tassel, the daughter and only child of a wealthy farmer. in order to procure her family's riches for himself. He competes for her affection with Abraham Brom Bones Van Brunt, the town rowdy. Unable to goad Ichabod into fighting for Katrina's hand, Brom instead wages a campaign of harassment against the schoolmaster. That's nice. That's neighborly. Plaguing him with a series of pranks and practical jokes. See, I remember all of this except for the fact that he was doing it in order to procure her family's riches for himself. But again, I was just a kid, so if there was that aspect of the Disney tale, the animated short, probably just went over my head. So as the story goes, one autumn night, Ichabod is invited to attend a harvest party at the Van Tassel homestead and travels there on a borrowed plow horse named Gunpowder. At the party, his social skills easily outdo those of Brom Bones. One of the ghostly stories told during the course of the evening is that of the Headless Horseman, the notorious ghost of a Hessian trooper. Relieved of his noggin by a cannonball during the Revolutionary War, the horseman is supposedly buried in a churchyard in Sleepy Hollow and rises from his grave every night to search for his missing head. But according to the stories, is supernaturally barred from crossing a wooden bridge near the old church that spans a nearby stream. At the conclusion of the party, Ichabod remains behind to make his proposal to Katrina, but she apparently rejects him. He leaves the party crestfallen and rides home. Crestfallen? Is that like heartbroken? But not really his heart, because he wasn't in love with her. He was just supposedly, trying to get at her daddy's cash. Anyways, he's crestfallen and rides home. After a few frightening incidents during the journey, he encounters a cloaked rider and believes it to be the Headless Horseman. Ichabod rides for his life with the apparition close behind. At the bridge, the horseman rears up on his horse and hurls his severed head directly at Crane, knocking him off of Gunpowder the horse. Yikes. Howdy, Pasture of Castles in the box. Good to see you. So the next morning, Gunpowder is found eating the grass at his master's gate, but Ichabod has disappeared from the area, leaving Katrina to marry Brom Bones. Although the nature of Ichabod's disappearance is left open to interpretation, it's implied that Brom knows more about the incident than he ever lets on. A shattered pumpkin is found near Ichabod's hat, where he fell, suggesting that the severed noggin thrown at him was merely a jack-o'-lantern. Then that Crane survived the fall from Gunpowder the horse and fled Sleepy Hollow, partly out of fear, but also because of his humiliating dismissal by Katrina. So again, some of this lines up with what I'm familiar with as a kid from the 70s, but it's a little different. But this is the official tale from the short story written in 1890. So, Disney even back then was notorious from borrowing stories from other countries or old folk tales and reworking them just enough to get by any, copywriting or anything. And then make, big, huge, sweaty wads of cash out of it. So I guess no different. In a postscript, a Mr. Knickerbocker recounts hearing the tale at a corporation meeting in Manhattan, narrated by humorous, shabby gentlemen. The story ends with mixed reactions from the audience, including laughter and skepticism. A serious old gentleman questions the moral of the story, to which the storyteller humorously responds that the tale proves life's situations have their advantages if one can find humor in them. The old gentleman remains puzzled, and the storyteller admits he doesn't believe half of the story himself. So there you go. The rest is just a bunch of other few paragraphs about it, but nothing noteworthy that I could see from skimming it earlier. But here's your film adaptations. Again, I was surprised that it went back to silent film era. But there it is, starring Will Rogers. Oklahoma's favorite son. The cowboy. Made them their cowboy movies. This is the one we're going to be taking a look at. Animated short film directed by UBI Works. I don't know what that is. Comic color cartoon series based on the 1820 short story. And of course, this is the one I grew up watching from Disney. And yeah, the Tim Burton one with Johnny Depp, which was so different because they didn't make him a schoolmaster, I don't think, did they? They made him a cop. They made him a cop. That's a good question, Kathy. Kathy Broughton wondering, was Will Rogers a Freemason? Probably. Anyway, another list below of literature, television appearances of the character. Of course, he's on Scooby-Doo. Can't expect anything less. Got to be on Scooby-Doo. By the way, this whole story, I think, is more popular over here in North America, Canada land and the United States. Even though it was written in the UK, I don't know if it's a big deal in the UK. Let me know in the box, in the chat, or down below in the comments if the story is really associated with, any kind of fall celebrations. Or I know over the past, I don't know, couple of decades, in the last decade and a half for sure, Halloween has become more and more of a thing across the pond and in other parts of Europe. And again, with this being closely associated with that, it's maybe it's known over there, but it's a thing here. It's just as much a thing as, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and all these other cartoons or family-oriented short movies or whatever, whether they be cartoon or animated, whatever you want to call it, or live action or otherwise. Oh, yeah. I was pretty glued to that for quite a while there because it was just so cockamamie and crazy. But also because whenever Johnny or any of his buddies took the stand, they were actually really funny. There we go. Thank you, Stephanie. Babylon Fox in the box says Will Rogers was a Freemason. All right, so here's the official Walt Disney production, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. See, they don't use Sleepy Hollow or Ichabod Crane, again, probably to avoid some kind of copyright or licensing thing. And then they put it with some other story that even as a kid, I didn't watch that part of it. I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for the Ichabod and the Horseman here. It's the best part. But anyways, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is a 1949 American animated anthology film produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by RKO Radio Pictures. It consists of two segments, the first being on Kenneth Graham's 1908 children's novel, The Wind in the Willows. Why not just watch The Wind in the Willows animated movie instead of just the Mr. Toad? Anyway, and narrated by Basil Rathbone. Basil? Oh, I say he's English, so it's Basil, you see. And the second based on Washington Irving's 1920 short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and narrated by Bing Crosby. Oh, yes, old Bing Crosby, the old crooner of the 20s and 30s. Ah, boo, boo, boo. That's Bing right there. Sorry, that's a terrible Bing Crosby impression. Moving on. Production was supervised by Ben Sharpstein. It was directed by Jack Kinney, Clyde Geronimi, and James Alger. Why did you need 3 directors? I guess because it's 2 stories. Yeah, right? Babylon Fox in the box says, I love Wind in the Willows. Yeah, why wouldn't you just watch that, right? Foxy says Charlie Brown Thanksgiving coming up soon. Oh yeah, that's right. There was a Peanuts / Charlie Brown for almost everything, right? Great Pumpkin, the Thanksgiving, the of course the Christmas. It's good stuff. I like the Charlie Brown. Anyways, The Adventures of Ichabod Mr. Toad began development in 1940 as a single narrative feature film based on In the Wind and the Willows. After a series of production delays, the project was cut down to a short film and eventually merged with The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which was originally conceived as a full-length feature. See, that would have been pretty good, I think. In 1947, this is the last of the studio's package film era of the 40s. They returned to full-length animated films, starting with Cinderella in 1950. Disney would not produce another package film until The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 1977. Well, what do you know? Stephanie, quick and heavy with the facts here. Babylon Fox saying Bing Crosby was a Jesuit. Old Bing there. Foxy says cartoons were much better back then. Individual cells for backgrounds and everything. Yeah, they started getting, the malaise era of the 60s, 70s with animated stuff. Talked about that when way back I did a live stream about a Canadian US joint production cartoon called Rocket Robin Hood. It's Robin Hood in outer space. But they reused some of the background footage and some of the rotoscoping or whatever in the 1970s Spider-Man animated show too. You know the one, Spider-Man. It does whatever a spider can. Yeah, first name Bing. Bing. My first name is Bing. It's a weird name. Anyways, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad was released in theaters August 5th, 1949. Beginning in 1955, the 2 segments of the film were separated and televised as part of the Disneyland television series. They were later marketed and sold separately on home video. Of course, got to rake in that cash. All right, here we go. Plot. Both of the film's animated segments are introduced through live-action scenes set in a library as a framing device. First segment, based on Kenneth Graham's novel The Wind in the Willows, is introduced and narrated by Basil Rathbone. Second segment is introduced and narrated by Bing. Both narrators preface their stories by mentioning various literary characters from both English and American literature before setting on the characters of Mr. Toad and Ichabod, respectively, for their tales. So is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman, a big thing over in the UK especially, but in Europe at all? In Great Britain in 1905, this is about Wind in the Willows, J. Thaddeus Toad is the wealthy owner of the Toad Hall estate in London, England, whose adventures and positive mania for various fads have brought him to the brink of bankruptcy. I guess it could have some popularity, considering this first story takes place in London, and as mentioned earlier, this was written in England, so Okay, so yada yada. Here we go. Legend Sleepy Hollow. In 1790, Ichabod Crane arrives in the small Terry town. This is exactly. They cut and pasted their own. Schoolmaster due to his odd appearance and effeminate mannerisms. Oh, they added a little extra here. Ichabod becomes a target for local bully Brom Bones, but forms good relationships with his students and the village's women. Ichabod soon meets and falls in love with Katrina. Oh, here they do mention the big L word. The daughter of wealthy farmer Balthus Van Tassel, while also having one eye on her family's fortune. Brom, who intends to marry Katrina, proceeds to compete for her affection with the schoolmaster, but Ichabod wins Katrina over at every opportunity, with Katrina noticing Brom's increasing anger and jealousy. So again, a little different here, the Disney version. Maybe old Walt was a hopeless, big-hearted romantic. So he wanted Ichabod to fall for Katrina in this version of the story. I don't know. Ichabod and Brom are invited to Van Tassel's annual Aussie Halloween frolic. Okay, so that explains why the Disney version is so ingrained as being Halloween. Because in the novel, it says that it's a harvest celebration or harvest feast, which is what Halloween's based on anyways, apparently, supposedly. But so this is where Brom tries in vain to keep Ichabod and Katrina separate. Discovering that Ichabod is superstitious, Brom tells the tale of the Headless Horseman, who on every Halloween night travels through the woods searching for a living head to replace the one he lost, only to escape him. The only way to escape him is to cross a covered bridge, at which point he will vanish. Katrina and all the guests find the story amusing, but Ichabod is left terrified. Yeah, sounds kind of spooky if you ask me. So here it's definitely geared to Halloween. So Disney probably produced this with Halloween in mind as a Halloween special, I guess. That night, Ichabod rides his horse Gunpowder home through the hollow, where the Headless Horseman is said to appear. Remembering the story's fear and anxiety heighten as he's frightened by every sound he hears. Passing through the old European cemetery, Ichabod becomes convinced he can hear the sound of galloping horse approaching, but bursts into laughter when it turns out to be cattails bumping on a log. His laughter is cut short when the real Headless Horseman appears, mounted on a fiery black horse and carrying jack-o'-lantern and a sword. Ichabod and Gunpowder run off and, remembering Brom's story, ride toward the covered bridge, with the horseman in pursuit. Finally cross the bridge, but as Ichabod looks back, the horseman throws jack-o'-lantern in his direction. Next morning, Ichabod's hat and a shattered pumpkin are found near the bridge. There's no trace of the schoolmaster. Subsequently, Brom marries Katrina, and rumors persist that Ichabod survived and married a wealthy widow in a distant county, though the Dutch settlers remain certain he was spirited away by the Headless Horseman. And there's the cast of the animated film, and then a little bit about the history of the film's development. Yeah, so they changed quite a few things. Obviously, some elements added, some elements changed, but the core part of the story, I guess, is fairly intact. You know, for the most part, anyway. Sir Cyril Nilmill, plus one covered bridge, dangling. So again, this is the one that I'm very familiar with. It's the official Walt Disney. Well, it's not the official per se, but the Walt Disney animated one there, eh? Even though it was done in, what did they say, 1949? I don't know. Anyways, got a couple of photos to take here, and then, you know what? Or not photos to take, photos to share. Then we'll take a mid-show break. I'll give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek. And then when we come back, we'll drop the man. We'll open up the goggle machine and go down onto Google Maps and drop the man down there and take a little walk around Sleepy Hollow. So if you're just joining me, thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here. Appreciate it. New West Reset Live. Frankie here. Got a bunch of new faces, new friends of the channel. So thank you very much for joining in on the, well, let's face it, on the shenanigans. Appreciate you. And, daylight savings over here, right? Spring ahead, fall back, roll your clocks back an hour or whatever. Last night before you go Betty Buys. Old World, Michigan in the box. Hello, hello. I mean, it's goofy, right? Because you're not saving any daylight. And, and people always say, enjoy your extra hour sleep. No, you're not getting an extra hour sleep. What I guess would have been 7 is technically 8. It's 8 when you fall back. It was 8 the day before, but now it's 7, but it's still 8. So you're getting that extra hour. Yeah, until you go to bed at 10, which used to be 11 p.m. So then you lose that hour. It's so stupid. It just mixes everything up. Oh, it's so that back in the day, so that the farmers could be out harvesting and they'd get an extra hour of sunlight. No, they didn't, because they pretty much had to wait till the sun rose so they could see when they were out, I don't know, harvesting the wheat or the corn or whatever the hell, or the barley. And then they had to stop once the sun set. So whatever you set the old clock to, it didn't matter. It's stupid. It kind of reminds me of this. I show this all the time when it's when it's daylight savings, because it's just perfect. When told the reason for daylight saving time, the quote old Indian said, only the government would believe that you could cut a foot off the top of a blanket, sew it to the bottom, and have a longer blanket. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, right? Foxy says, instead of going to work in the dark, you come home in the dark. Yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I had a couple other photos I wanted to share here before we take a little break, just to show you some of the stuff that I'm familiar with. This is from the original, the official Disney animated film, right? So there's the covered bridge. You got to make it to the bridge because for some reason the horseman can't pass over this creek, and apparently there's a church or something. So he just, there's the covered bridge, and he throws his flaming jack-o'-lantern pumpkin at Ichabod. There, of course, is Ichabod himself. This guy is somehow, this is what I could never understand, even as a small child, 7, 8 years old. Because, of course, this is on every year, right? It's like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. But even as a small child, I'm looking at this fella. I'm thinking, this is the guy that's wooing all the women in Sleepy Hollow. All right. Of course, there's the iconic headless horseman with his steed and his sword and jack-o'-lantern. These are the images that I remember. But going back to that Wikipedia for a second here, I think there was something in there where they mentioned that talk about the reviews and everything, but they talk about how sort of how accurate it is to the book. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through here because I wanted to mention it because I do recall seeing that when I was kind of skimming through. I just can't remember which one of the Wikipedia articles it was. It had to have been the Disney one. Because apparently, or was it in something else I read? I mean, sorry about that. I know this is fascinating to you right now. Oh, yes, I remember now. I remember. Excuse me. It was, I got on the goggle machine and I did a quick search for the covered bridge in Sleepy Hollow, New York. Let me just share this. This is what at least is what the AI says. Or is it the AI? Oh, no, this is from visitsleepyhollow.com. People ask, does Sleepy Hollow have a covered bridge? And the answer is, well, Walt Disney and Tim Burton dressed up their versions of Sleepy Hollow with covered bridges. There's no evidence in either Irving's story or historical records that Sleepy Hollow's bridge ever had a roof. Roof? Roof. So yeah, that's that. I was misremembering. It wasn't on the Wikipedia. But yeah, that's again so closely associated with, the tale of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane, the Headless Horseman. I just call it the Headless Horseman because it just sounds cooler. But yeah, no wooden covered bridge. There was an old bridge. There still is an old bridge, but it wasn't a covered bridge. So it's funny how things get embellished and enter into the public consciousness, and then you start thinking, oh, well, yeah, the old covered bridge there in Sleepy Hollow, New York. Nope. There is, in fact, a Headless Horseman covered bridge up somewhere in Illinois, somewhere up near Chicago, I think. But they just call it the Headless Horseman Bridge. Maybe that's it. Foxy's saying covered bridges are spookier. That could be it. Hello, Sandra. Sandra Marr in the box. How you doing? Good to see you. Baja says a guy at my work has Mickey Mouse ears on his car at late 40s. Really? Like on the top of his car, on the roof of his car? I would agree. Absolutely. Pastor of Castles saying it's too bad Disney is so evil. The ink on those old animations is beautiful. Yeah, like back in the day. Even at, their more modern animated stuff, when you get into the 80s and even the 90s, you get the Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and I don't know, but then it started getting kind of dodgy because they were pretty cutting edge because remember the original Tron with Jeff Bridges? It's one of the earliest examples of computer animation in a film or whatever. Like super, super cutting edge stuff. And now Disney's just, it's just not the same. It's just, yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of the old school ones, right? I remember as a kid, they used to show older movies. Again, going back to the 1970s, they would dust off the old films and show them in theaters. I remember seeing Pinocchio in the theater. Obviously, not on its original run because that was in the 40s. Fantasia being another. What else did I see? I saw the animated Robin Hood, where it's Robin Hood is a fox and Little John's a bear, and yeah, the evil sheriff of Nottingham is a lion or something. I can't remember, but They don't do that anymore for some reason. They lock them away in the Disney vault. If they just dusted off some of those old classics, put them in theaters, they could get themselves out of the conundrum that they're in right now, go back to start making some of that good stuff. Again, it doesn't have to be all animated stuff either. There's a lot of good stuff back in the day. Foxy Sing the Sword and the Stone. Yeah. Channel 53 saying same, dude. I remember a lot of classics being reshown. Yeah. Hippie Shake in the boxes. I remember that. Robin Hood one, Frankie. I have that on DVD. Yeah, hang on to those like Grim Death if you have any old Disney on VHS or DVD, preferably VHS, because that would have been, if not the exact original theatrical version, it would have been very close. Once they put it on DVD, they start digitally remastering it and supposedly making it better, but that's when they can start editing and taking stuff out, right? Heck, now when you buy a movie or a video game, you don't even get a hard copy of that stuff anymore. That's why I like buying vinyl records. I buy my music on vinyl records. And if I can find the original version from the 50s, 60s, or 70s instead of some reissue, all the better. So if you have them, hang on to them. Absolutely. If you have them on the tapes or the disc. I think Disney went pretty bonkers with Laserdisc too. So if you have one of those old Laserdisc systems, because a lot of times you go to a pawn shop or even an old record store or something like that, they sell old Laserdiscs and they're practically giving them away because nobody bought into that whole thing. Like, well, very few did. So if you can get your hands on a Laserdisc player, it's basically like a DVD, but it's the size of a record album, you know, a long playing record album. Anyway, where are we at here? 10 minutes to the hour. What do you say we take a quick mid-show break? Give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage. And we'll come back and we'll explore a little bit more about Sleepy Hollow itself. But I think we'll have a look and we'll watch the original. Not the original. We'll watch an old animated version from 1934. And then we'll do we'll drop the guy down on the goggle machine. So if you're new here to the channel, once again, or as a quick reminder, every Wednesday I upload an old-timey video edited to music, vintage footage. I try to, the older the better, and I try to keep it Canadian if I can. And I put that up on Wednesday, and every Sunday show I give you a sneak peek preview of that. And then again, every Friday, boots on the ground. And then back here Sunday for the live show. So without further ado, how about I quit jaw-jacking about it and just cue the darn thing up for you. This is the Pacific Northwest and Alaska from 1938. It's about 4 minutes, 40 seconds. So smoke them if you got them. This is pretty rare footage. Often unseen. Pacific Northwest and Alaska, 1938. Stick around, and we'll see you on the other side of 440. All right? Cheers. All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. How's it going, eh? Thank you very much for shooting in. Joining Buddy here for another one there, eh? It's a live one. We're looking at The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, episode 143 here today on Sunday, November the 2nd, 2025. Coming up on 6 p.m. local time. Thank you very, very much for winding down your weekend here with yours truly for the Sunday Fun Day Show. If you haven't already, please do all the things. Really appreciate it. You know, the stuff down here too. Thanks to everybody for joining me here on YouTube and, of course, on Rumble. Links below. If you're watching this after the live, hey, how's it going? Thanks a lot there, eh? So at the top half of the show, we looked at what Wikipedia had to say. Just a quick reference to the official story behind the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The original short story written in, what was it, 1809? No, 1840. 1840. The story takes place in 1790. What'd you think of that video? That's some pretty fantastic footage. If you thought it was beautiful. Yeah, very Swiss Alps looking. Well, that's the Rockies there, eh? The Pacific Northwest of the US of A, and of course, up along Canada land until you get up into, Yukon and Alaska. Yeah, some of those chalet-style hotels, some of them are railroad hotels, of course. But yeah, looking very German or Bavarian or Swiss Alps looking in terms of the architecture, the roof lines. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. All right, so I made reference to, whoops, excuse me, amateur hour here on the show. I clicked the wrong thing there, eh? Now I got to click more things to find the thing that I wanted to show you of the thing. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm after. So again, I'm not sure if this was a big deal over in the UK or in the rest of Europe, over in Europe there, but again, this is kind of what I remember in the 70s, and it was always associated with Halloween. Disney are hard asses when it comes to copyright and yada yada. So we're just gonna have a look at it here, and this the link for it is in the description below, of course. There's the guy that takes he doesn't take it too kindly to old Ichabod wooing every lady in town, including the apple of his eye. Where's her? This Belle, what's her name? Yeah, so this is, again, it's narrated by Bing Crosby. He sings all the songs, but he retells the spooky tale. It's just terrifying, Ichabod. Headless Horseman and the shadow on the wall. It's pretty clever. The animation is very good. The story's good. You know, say what you want about Bing. He was a great narrator, and he was a good singer. And of course, the spooky ride home where he's every little sound along the way is terrifying him, and then he ends up being chased by the Headless Horseman. So I think you can find this on the HooTubes and on other platforms, perhaps. But as mentioned, it is not public domain, so I'm not gonna share it with you here. I wish I could, but everybody had that. Foxy says my dad had Bing Crosby's Christmas album. Yeah, absolutely. I have a Christmas album, again on vinyl, but it's a compilation of different classics, and yeah, Bing's is on there. The White Christmas. I'm dreaming of a white, the one that everybody hates now for some reason. Classic stuff. Old Bing. Anyway, enough messing around with the crappy Bing Crosby impressions. What do you say we watch this thing real quick? I think it's only 8 or 10 minutes long, if memory serves. Yeah, 8.5 minutes. So what do you say we watch this thing and kind of check it out? Of course, I'll pause it once and again to kind of throw in my smart assy 2 cents, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum. But I think this will be interesting. So right off the bat, I'm sure you can see here the animation style is completely different than the Disney version that I was familiar with. Like when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Betty Boop a little bit, or Felix the cat, not Fritz the cat. That's a whole different cat, but Felix the cat. So you got this big fancy aristocratic looking brutish looking guy, and then you got scrawny beanpole, goofy looking Ichabod Crane, both vying for the affections here, but again, totally different. Yeah, it's kind of probably same artists or artists that work in the same animation studios or something. Yeah, it's got to be. Not exactly heavy on the dialogue, though, is it? It's just kind of mostly instrumental, which is fine. You don't need a lot of exposition and hoopla for a very simple spooky tale, I guess. And again, it's probably not. I was going to say it's probably not meant to be a spooky tale. It's obviously meant to be a spooky tale, but it's a morality tale. Scriptman's work, yeah. by the way, keep in mind, this is from 1934.
That's crazy!
Just say it's a product of its time. I didn't draw the damn thing. Dear Icky. A very unfortunate nickname. Again, the huge contrast in characters here, right? It's very little dialogue, which is crazy. I guess it was cheaper that way. You didn't have to hire voice actors. You just pay for the orchestra, which is probably some studio orchestra anyways. Maybe bring in a couple of Foley artists to do some sound effects, and that's about it. But yeah, the music is definitely meant to be chilling a little bit, I wonder why they didn't show this guy getting ready for the fancy banquet. They showed Ichabod. They didn't show how this guy, where's his TikTok of his morning routine? Is that it? Supposed to be, he thinks our friend Icky here is a snake. Ah, that dirty snake. I'll tell you what, though, Ichabod can cut a rug. He can cut a rug. He's got some moves. That's all I'm saying is that he's got some pretty dang good moves there.
I'm going downtown, and I'm gonna buy me some new shoes.
Aha. Okay, so in this animated version, somebody else is telling the story of Headless Horseman, which gives the big brutish guy the idea to get rid of our buddy Icky, old Ichabod Crane. Whereas in the Disney version, the animated Disney version, again, that I'm familiar with, growing up in the 1970s, the big guy, who I would agree with Foxy, is they made him much more handsome in the Disney version. But anyway, he tells the story, and then he's also the one that pursues Ichabod and chases him as the Headless Horseman, which was also the case in the Tim Burton joint, I think. The shape of her head, right, Vinny? Unfreemason, cousin Vinny there in the box saying Betty Boop is freakish and unsettling, and that's because of the shape of her head, right? Nice legs, shape about the face. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. And then Kathy Broughton saying she had a butter face. Yeah. Guys are terrible. Don't ever change. So the chase begins. We got a saying up here. It goes a little something like this, Kathy. She's good from far, but far from good. All right, so there you go. And that one was different too. The ending, where Icky, our buddy Icky, sneaks back in dressed as the headless horseman and spoils the wedding, I guess. It's well, yeah, the pervs always are persistent, Baja. That's why they're pervs, man. That's why they call them pervs. Olive oil, actually, olive oil drawn in this kind of style, also, I guess, from the Popeye. Agagag. I got me spinach. Anyways, but I was actually when I first watched that, and again, I have a link for that below if you want to watch it again. When I first watched that version from 1934, I thought, you know what? It was pretty good. The animation was pretty good considering we're told that's right in the Great Depression, sort of right in the height of right in the meat of the bell curve of the Great Depression. Even up here in Canada land, same thing, same tale. You know, the stock market crash and the economy crashes and mass unemployment. Then in the American Midwest, they had the Dust Bowl in the dirty 30s. Same thing up here in the prairies, the Dust Bowl. The only thing we didn't have a lot of was public works programs. We had some, but not to the extent of supposedly what the U.S. had. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. But the quality was not bad considering it was done during the Great Depression. Again, maybe that's why there wasn't a lot of dialogue. It's just easier to record 8 minutes worth of music and then add some goofy sound effects, and every once in a while add a chuckle or a squeal or a giggle or a scream, and Robert's your mother's brother, I guess. So what do you say we have a sneak peek here? Not a sneak peek, but have a peekaboo on the goggle machine. Open up the maps here and check out the Sleepy Hollow. Drop the guy down in there and see what all the hullabaloo is about. About. Oh, look, they have the Headless Horseman Bridge. Yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second here. So again, Sleepy Hollow in New York State. There are other places called Sleepy Hollow in the US, and probably the UK, I would imagine. But there are structures that supposedly still exist in Sleepy Hollow. You know what? I don't need to, but I like to drop the guy. There we go. Boom, right away. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's this big, what the hell's that doing there? Wall here, stone wall. Nightborn Phoenix in the box. Welcome. Thanks for shooting in. I got ahead of myself here. What's this? Who's this guy? Is this Davy Crockett or somebody? Don't know. What does it say it is? It says Terrytown, so maybe this is some guy with the last name Terry. This place. Yeah, because that's easy to do. Wow, man. It's nice. All right, I think I got off the beaten track here. Oh, no, we're okay. We're okay. My bad. Let's So right away, we've got this wall and this stone church. Massive tree, too. Holy moly. It's interesting. School is, I think, hidden amongst these trees. Yeah, you can just see colonial style, I guess they would call this. Get a better look at it, maybe. Not really. Hey, they're having a furniture drive, people. Up on a hill, of course. A church, and then next to that, we've got this place. What in the Sam Steel is this? Sleepy Hollow Middle School and High School. Looks like it's been refacaded or something. It's been monkeyed with. Anyway, apparently there's structures mentioned in the story, and you see in the Disney animated version that are real structures in Sleepy Hollow. Oh, look at this. Does that look familiar there, Ross? Water the tree? Even all the way back here, too. What the Sam Steel is this going on? Okay, that's fine. I mean, we're not going to scrutinize every little thing. We could be here for hours when we, when we're on the goggle machine. But again, I would encourage you to just open up the Google Maps and just type in Sleepy Hollow. Look at this place. Tour it with a conical dome up here. Yeah, it's just my house. It's fine. Stone stuff. Just more walls. Yeah, there's walls all over this place. Sleepy Hollow, New York, Stephanie. Back here too. Sometimes I wonder if this stuff is facaded in a stone tile to blend in with older stone. Why is this all strewn around? Oh, he's cut down a tree. Oh, okay. Let's cut down something up here, maybe. Anyway, I'm wondering if sometimes they build modern, gateways to these streets or communities, and they're facaded in a thick stone tile to blend it, so people don't question, well, why is there a big stone wall here? And the stone walls are much older, and they're not stone tile, if you get what I'm driving at. Of course, we're going to get a shitty view from 2007. See, they don't want us to see this up here in a better. They don't want to give us a better date. Thanks, Goggle. You're the best. You're aces, bub. But meanwhile, this too, Of course, now that there's foliage here, so you can't see. You're rotten. We go up here and look at it. No, not really. It switches again. Oh, look at this. A refacaded castle in crappy aluminum siding. Beautiful. Nope, not at all. Howdy, Vaughn. Vaughn in the box. Good to see you. We're looking at Sleepy Hollow in New York, which is where the story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman comes from. It takes place in this, what I always thought it was a fictitious place, but nope, it's a real place. So we're just poking around because apparently there's some structures here that are referenced in the 1949 Disney animated movie. That are actual real structures in the town or in the city. I don't even know if it's a city or a town, to be honest with you. What the heck's going on up here, bub? Of course, we have the sun in our eyes no matter how we look at it. Thanks, Goggle. There's stone wall. Oh, this looks familiar too. So I think this is done after, and this originally, you can see it goes down behind this sidewalk here. So maybe this was originally a taller wall, and later on somebody came and put stones along there, the pointed stones. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. I'm just looking at it. We have stone walls here in Calgary too, but they don't have the little jagged upturned stone bits on them like that. I just want to poke around here a little bit in the old town because that's always fascinating to me. And then we'll have a look at a couple of these structures that are, I guess because they made mention in the original short story that was written that they are actual places. Look at this. What do we have here? I guess one could argue those are Christmas decorations. They do kind of look like snowflakes. So, I mean, I'll just put that there and you can make of it what you will. They light up or something. Sent me for a bit of a shock at first, though. That's okay. Look at this beauty here. Whew. So yeah, in the Disney animated short film, they actually took the time to render some of these actual buildings. This ain't the bridge, by the way. That's not the Headless Horseman Bridge. It's kind of an interesting stone bridge. Oh, it goes over the rail here. Ah, of course it does. Stuff here in the background too. It's got to be new. Yeah, this is new where they try to copy the old, but everything's just crummy and square and rectangular. And then they put something like this on the corner and say, look, we can do it. We're great. It's like, not so much, bub. I mean, it's more appealing than, a big rectangle, I suppose. Anyway, let's see what we've got here. There's some, of course, let's check. We got to check out the Sleepy Hollow sign. Oh, another wall. Oh, this is right by the school. Okay. Welcome to historic Sleepy Hollow. Settled in 1640, they say. All right, 1640, eh? Okay, let's check out the Sleepy Hollow Lighthouse. Ooh, that's cool. Look, squirrel. Anyway. It's kind of a stumpy looking lighthouse. Of course, it's a 20-plus-year-old photo. Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Yeah, great. It's kind of funny looking, no? Why would you build it out on the water? I mean, it's clearly not a little island. This is a man-made pile of rocks or something, and then they poured what looks to me like they poured some kind of foundation and built this lighthouse and then built a bridge. Why not just build it, like here? You think poking it out 35 feet is going to make that much of a difference, do you? Okay. Strange. Of course, the Rockefeller estate. What do you say we have a look at that real quick? Because it's just right on the line. Sleepy Hollow here. Are they going to even let us drop? Oh. Shocked. Portals, fountains, statues. And oh my. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't expect anything less, right? Photo from 2016 again. And this too. Just everything. Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. Why not? All along here, eh? Okay. It's fantastic. I suppose this thing does. Pretty amazing, though. All right, getting sidetracked here. Headless Horseman Bridge. This is it. Yeah, that's right. This is supposedly the bridge that the Headless Horseman couldn't cross. Apparently that bridge was a wooden bridge and it washed away. So this is a more modern bridge, apparently. So make of that what you will. It said there's supposed to be a church, and that's why he wouldn't. Aha, there it is. So this is the old Dutch church that is referenced in the original short story. And Disney took the time to render or animate or draw, whatever you want to call it. And a wall here. Another wall back here. It's very modest, but it is beautiful. And then what do we have here? There's even still some graves in the church grounds, the hallowed grounds. So yeah, apparently he could not cross from this direction coming this way because he couldn't cross the bridge because the church is there. It's an awfully wide bridge, isn't it? I bet you the tram or the trolley, the streetcar, came along here. I bet you. Because it's a 4-lane road in this little place. So he was chasing him down along here. And old Ichabod just thought, all I need to do is get across this bridge. Once this church is in sight, the Headless Horseman can't cross. So that means Ichabod lived somewhere around here? Oh, there's the cemetery. Also, they still have the cemetery there, too. That would be cool to check out sometime. Anybody who lives close to Sleepy Hollow in New York, go and poke around in there and see what's what. This is pretty impressive. Wait, didn't it say in the Wikipedia article that Ichabod started getting the creeps when he passed the cemetery, which means he would have been traveling this way and getting creeped out by the cemetery. And then he's chased by the Headless Horseman and he's got to make it to the bridge. But that means they're passing the church that supposedly the Headless Horseman can't pass. He can't cross the bridge because he can't pass this church. I don't know. Anyway, let's have another quick little poke around here and see what's what. Like any other funny little mud-flooded town. Phillipsburg Manor. Oh my. Is it going to give us an interior photo only? Is that what that is? Oh, it's going to drop us on the street. It's terrific. You're not going to let us see the place, are you? No, it's not. See, there's a spot here, right? See it? Boink. And no. You're going back on the street, bub. It's very interesting to me. This is Broadway and Old Broadway. What if the trolley came down here? And this was a point where it would either turn around but go back, or because you know this place had a trolley. Fred Astaire Dance Studios? Are you kidding me? They got to just be. That's just what they called it. Able to just name a place after a famous dancer like that, even though he may have had nothing to do with it. That's a new one on me. All right, let's see if there's any other points of interest that it won't let us see. Yeah, the Old Dutch Church, Washington Irving grave. No. Against a tree, eh? Okay. Rockefeller Mausoleum. This thing's probably going to be ridiculous. Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. The whole place is ridiculous. What's going on here? Nothing. It's pretty fancy there, bub. I had no idea. The Bronze Lady. Who's the Bronze Lady? It's a statue or something. Let us drop. Oh, maybe. Maybe. Let's see a Bronze Lady. This thing is whack, man. Old style Horseman Bridge. Okay, it's not the headless Horseman Bridge. It's just an old style Horseman Bridge. So they build this bridge to resemble what they tell us was the type of bridge that was washed away before they built that more modern bridge. It looks pretty weeny and kind of crappy to me. It looks like something that my dad, my uncles could have built out at the campground. You know, not to say that it would be crappy, but you know, it would be put together with logs and stuff. Okay, I'm sure these are all fine. Must be the cemetery. Oh yeah, okay. See, I didn't do too much poking around here ahead of time. But I know that if you do kind of poke around, there's a lot of interesting historical places. And again, if you just take, stroll around the old town. Just trying to see if there's anything jumps out at us here. A lot of big brick structures and stuff. What's this place, huh? Yeah, what's going on here? Looks like they did some monkeying around with whatever used to be here. Interesting. Oh, wow, man. What happened? Okay. I saw something and I went to click forward, and now the goggle machine says, I don't think so, bub. I saw this here. Oh, okay. My eyes were playing tricks on me. Anyway, that's pretty good. But yeah, I love doing these Google Maps, walkabouts, whatever you want to call them. Just exploring. So Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow. So yeah, we didn't even really look around Tarrytown at all, I don't think. You have Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown as sort of twin cities or twin towns. Holy, boy, am I ever glad I did that real quick. Look at this joint, man. Oh, of course it's a bank. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't keep my money in anything less than extreme extravagance. You hear me? Oh yeah, that's how you build that. And then you just put some redneck skylights in there, bub. Perfect. Tudor inspired here. Oh, what do we have down the street here? Get to that in a sec. They covered it in schmutz, but they had Giuseppe here stack it a brick in these nice little arches. I love that. It's fantastic. Oh, the music hall. Oh, wow. Look at that. 1885, huh? Sure. Beautiful. Outstanding. Pediments here with sort of what you'd call that, almost a palm leaf or palm tree, or I don't even know what. I'm just trying to describe it. Damage here, that's too bad. Even above the windows here, it's lovely. Street light, or lamp post, lamp light, whatever you call it, wherever you live. Look at this leaded stained glass transom windows here. What a beaut. Yeah, I would agree with that. Foxy says terracotta roof is nice. Vaughn says, reminds me of the steelworks down the road, Frankie. Always pointy bits on the waterline. Looks like it's got some damage here, but overall, it's not faring too badly. Look at this, man. This is a great little side street of... I was just getting ready to wrap it up. I mean, I still will here pretty quickly, but... yeah, it's pretty nice, man. Pretty nice. Again, I bet you the trolley went, or tram, or whatever, went up and down here. Look at all this hullabaloo. Oh, it's the YMCA. Yeah, color me shocked. If it ain't the bank, it's the YMCA that's the fanciest building on the street. We have more stone here. Oh, yeah. Here. Yeah, this place is it's a jaw dropper. You can check out some jazz, get a drink, have a bite to eat, get some tapas. If that's your thing. Oh, what do we have here? What do we have here? Oh, I thought it was a steeple. This is a high definition from outer space, people. Or sorry, not outer space, but from orbiting satellites. A high-res photo of a tree. Yeah, no. Looks like a 7-year-old splotched it in with some finger paint. And it fooled me to thinking it was a steeple. Anyway, a guy could go on and on. But yeah, I would encourage you to have a poke around. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting, like somebody here in the chat said earlier, looking for weird shapes, right? Like why does the street all of a sudden do this? But if it's Central Avenue, why didn't you just have it keep going? You know, because there's a bit of a grid here, but then there's all kinds of wonkiness going around here. Looks like maybe there's some viaduct stuff going on here where they've raised part of, excuse me, they've raised part of the town maybe. Oops, what's this? Lucy Park? Okay, it's an odd name. This is all artificial shoreline here, all along here. Bet you this just keeps going. Yeah, oh yeah, it just keeps going and going. Of course, around the lighthouse, all these angles. Let me put it back in the top view. Yeah, this kind of stuff is, let's just say Buddy thinks it's suspicious. Buddy thinks it's a little bit suspicious. Thinking this might have been an old train station. And I bet you this is the old train station right here. It's right on the rail line. And this looks like where they would tell us they would bring luggage in and out off of the rail cars that are on the other side of this building on the track. Anyway, all right, let's quit while we're ahead here. Get ready to wind this thing down. So what did you think of that? Stephanie, Babylon Fox in a Box says there's a Central Avenue in my neighborhood does the exact same thing. All hanky-janky and snaky. It's weird, right? Or if it's going on a fairly straight line and then all of a sudden it intersects with a grid pattern, but it was going diagonally compared to the grid pattern, and you're like, why the goofy street? All right, so before I go here, what have we got? I think I got a couple of photos to share with you here real quick. Oh, did you hear that? An ambulance outside. Because, of course, my live show. Oh, no, I shared this one, right? Yeah, I did. But it's worth sharing again. That's pretty much the logic behind daylight savings time. Cracks me up every time. Got some stuff that I think I've got something that Kathy shared, and I've got something that Turtle shared. Turtle! Yeah, this was one that Turtle sent me. This is a snake trying to sneak up on a Canada goose. And the Canada goose has actually got her little baby geese, her little goslings that she's kind of still incubating, but they've hatched. And the snake's trying to be all sneaky like and get in there, as snakes do. Goose ain't happy. You do not mess with a Canada goose. I'll just tell you that right now. Cobra chickens, they're called. Murder turkeys. They can weigh up to, I think, 40 pounds. Almost 6-foot wingspan. They got the webbed feet like a duck, but they've got these long nails like talons that are, about an inch long on them. Yeah, they don't mess around. So thank you, Title, for that one. I think Kathy sent me this one, if I'm not mistaken. This is those sushi mango guys from, I don't know, from like New Zealand or something, but they're Greek, Italian descent. I don't know, but they're funny. But the holidays are coming up, right? We've got Thanksgiving, or as we call it up here in Canada land, American Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up. Of course, we have Veterans Day / Remembrance Day, November 11th. And then, you got the Christmas around the corner and New Year. A lot of people like to go on trips or vacation and visit friends, family, loved ones for the holidays. So here's some, let's just say here's what not to do. Here's how not to travel.
Expired in 1984.
What's the difference? It's still me.
So, what's this?
That's a sausage maker who was a bombardier for my son's wedding.
What do you need a drill for?
If I got to drill something, what am I going to drill it with? My dick.
You can't bring cold meats with you on the plane.
That's no meat. That's a prosciutto.
Why do you have a knife?
How do you think I'm going to cut the prosciutto?
That's not meat. That's a prosciutto. Kathy says that goose was badass. Yeah, the goose said, bring it on. You don't mess with the goose. Night-born Phoenix in the box asking, do you celebrate Thanksgiving in Canada too? Oh, we sure do there, buddy? But we celebrate it in October. The second Monday in October. We have ours earlier because we like to be first. But it's because we have an inferiority complex compared to England, France, and the United States. You see what I'm saying? But not really.
Why do you need this?
That's the statue of La Madonna. I take it from the church to bless the plane.
Do you really need this pot?
That's not pot. That's a basin. Our lunch inside. We know how to the fucking apply the food.
Is this fuel?
The fuel in overseas it costs too much.
Is this dirt?
That's the chicken shit for the tomato plants. The tomato plant that grow from the chicken shit. The tomatoes that grow from the tomato plant.
Yeah, it's cured ham. Prosciutto's cured ham, and you slice it nice and thin. Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia. It's delicious. You slice it up nice and thin and pop it in your mouth. Practically melts in your mouth. In la boca.
Garlic?
It's for the evil eyes.
Hedge clippers?
For my cousin in New York.
Why?
For my cousin in Montreal. A bread. Onions. Olives. And oil. Very nice. Fennel. Finocchio. Cucumbers. Watermelon. Chili peppers.
Yeah, so don't do that. Definitely don't pack a machete or a shovel when you're trying to fly. Because, then they make you do that dance that everybody hates to do in that separate little private room in the security area. And that's, it's kind of, it's your modern day Marx Brothers or Abbott and Costello or whatever. They're funny. These guys, they're funny. It's a funny stuff, huh? I think for me, it's a very funny thing.
That's crazy!
Sorry, scusi. Anyway, I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down here. 2 hours. Stuffed Beagles live or going live. So yeah, head on over there. Thank you very much once again for shooting in, joining a fella here for a live one, winding down your weekend. That's going to seal the deal here for Frankie. New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 143. Looking at the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Again, links below for everything we discussed, as well as how you can get a hold of a fella. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat, in the box. Thanks to Hippie for sharing all the links and whatnot, so forth. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it as always. Next Sunday, we're going to be looking at Natchez, Mississippi, and some legendary stuff that made it into some old blues tunes for the Clues in Blues episode 3 here on the Sunday show. So until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.